Hi there! I propose that you travel with me to meet the countries of the European Union and the citizens who make them happy. Ready for one of our destinations? Okay, let's go! Poland, whose capital is Warsaw, is the sixth largest country in the European Union, with a population of about 38 million. Poland shares its borders with 7 countries, including Germany and Russia. The country was very powerful in the 15th and 16th centuries. Nevertheless, from the middle of the 17th century, it lost territory until it lost its independence between the end of the 18th century and the end of the First World War. The main conquerors it had to face were Russia, Prussia and Austria. Poland is probably one of the countries that fought the most for its freedom. This is also why emigration was a permanent feature of Polish life for most of the 19th and 20th centuries. It's important to know that 1 in 3 Poles live abroad. After the Second World War, which killed vast numbers of people and which precipitated massive migrations, the population of Poland became one of the most ethnically homogeneous in the world. From 1947 to 1989, Poland experienced a communist period led by the USSR. The history of Poland explains the importance of the Polish cultural heritage and of the Catholic religion for the Poles, as our interviewees underlined.
I would say that patriots and nationalists in Poland loves to refer for 16th century and the times of the glory, Husaria, which was an elite cavalry fighting in Europe, and also just our fighting spirit during the Second World War, a lot of like Polish resistance. That's all symbols that do still up to this day are very present in our culture, very present in our, I wouldn't say behavior, but mentality, especially of some. Like I said, it's mostly a fuel for patriots and nationalists, also for our government to create this kind of feeling of a strong leader in Europe and just the best nation ever. So
in our history we had a lot of wars and we were occupied for a lot of time, and I think it really impacts the way people think now as well. We're quite attached to the Polishness and what it means to be Polish, and throughout the years we always had a strong sense of that.
The thing that I love the most about Poland is that I feel like we're connected as a nation. Like, I feel like this younger generation is connected so much.
I really love also just people's warmness to you and their openness to help you and welcome you into their home. With Ukraine, I think we've been so open to be helpful because it's a country that's right next to us and we're quite similar culturally. We're both Slavic countries. Our languages are similar the way we are. So we have so many people from Ukraine coming in. Like, everyone kind of knows someone who's Ukrainian. Like, I, for example, have some family there. I know there's plenty of people that kind of are in a similar situation. That's why the Polish were way more open to help with the Ukrainian war. But I am saying that I am well aware that my country is very selective, which I don't necessarily always agree with the way we conduct ourselves with migrants from different countries.
I think that currently, especially Polish people are very open for the overs just because they know how does it feel when no one is responding to the call and when the person who is attacking is not doing it for a first time.
I have a question for someone from Poland. Since the war broke out in Ukraine and Poland has been really helpful and strongly on Ukraine's side, And in the past, or before this, Poland and Hungary were really best buddies in the EU, often against everyone else. And since Hungary now has been a bit more neutral and has not taken a big stand in the war, and Orban has quite close relations with Putin, do you think this will affect the relationship that Polish and Hungarians have, especially in the political scene?
I think that Polish people are especially related to the Hungarians and other Slavic countries because we are sharing the common history and common use in terms of the religion or culture. Our cultures at some point are connected, but also our national traumas related to the communism or repartitions are connected too.
Now, after the crisis, or during the crisis when the war is going on and Hungary has its politics, Hungary isn't with us. When the Czechs, the Slovaks, Lithuanians and all the Baltics, we all think the same, and we have a common threat. And here the Hungarians are choosing short-term profit. I think that's the view that is coming in, that many people tend to have now. Even though, of course, the politics of Hungary is governed by Fidesz, by the party, and not by simple people. I think that Poland is moving away from Hungary politically, as it is. For example, that state media no longer talks about Hungary at all.
There were lots of fights for our borders and stuff, so I think that made Polish people very fighty, and it made us think that we can have impact on what's going on in our country. And there are many protests at these times in Poland, abortion laws. Also, we manifest free media and free courts and stuff. Poland right now has a complicated situation because people are divided in half, and the half that is happy with everything that is happening in Poland right now is mostly older people, and the other half contains mostly younger generation.
Poland is the most religious country in Europe. Around 90% of Poles are Roman Catholics. The Roman Catholic Church in Poland enjoys immense social prestige and political influence. As a result, for example, the conditions for abortion are restrictive in Poland, and this phenomenon increased in 2020.
When it comes to religion, it's actually quite an interesting one, because actually religion was, I would say, a sign of resistance, a sign of opposition for Polish nation for actually over centuries. And the beginning of that way of using religion is in 18th century, when we were partitioned between Prussian, Austro-Hungarian Empire and Russia. And basically Poland was erased from Europe map for 123 years. And Polish people were in 3 different countries, and they were forced to learn foreign languages. They were refused to cultivate their culture. So religion was actually Catholic. I'm speaking Catholic religion was a sign, was a way to prevail the Polish spirit. But then after 45, after the end of Second World War, we basically became under influence of USSR. So, Poland was on map already, but we were not independent country, and we became a communist country. Also, that was the time that religion was, was not really accepted by the party because it was praising atheism. And again, faith was the sign of resistance. So I think that's why it has such a strong, that's why religion has such a strong position in our society. That's why up until this day, you just see how big of a deal it is in our society.
It manifested, I think, mostly last year when the government tried to do an almost full abortion ban with 2 or 3 exceptions, which created a huge uproar for the whole country, which I've never experienced anything like it in Poland. I think that is one of the main things. I would love to have politics and religion separated as far as they could. What mostly could be improved as well is people's mindset, especially with accepting the LGBTQ plus community. Like I said, I'm from a big city, so what I experience is different. But I know smaller cities in different parts of the country can be very rejecting and not accepting of people from those communities.
Older people do not understand LGBTQ plus community. Like it's like gays never existed in their times. So yeah, like it feels like it.
During my trip to Poland, I also wanted to hear from our Polish people about the impact that the communist era continues to have in Poland today.
Older generation sometimes keep saying, okay, in those times everything was better than now, but I don't think so, that they will be happy really with that if the communists come back to Poland.
I'm very glad that I don't have to live in the same country as my grandparents had to, as us they weren't, which been a state without any free policies.
Communism times were like very restricted, that you couldn't be outside your house after some hour, and they were like patrolling the streets. And so like that is one example, but there were more. And right now, like if people grew up in like those times, they have like mentality that they need to be like strict. And yeah, like younger people are like more open-minded and also tolerant and stuff. But yeah, older people are like stricter.
We are homogenic country. We are not having a lot of contribution from other cultures, and communist era had a big impact on this because we were only open for 30 years, right? I also mentioned distrust to power institution, governments, and that I would say is mostly connected to time of communism, where you couldn't trust the party, you couldn't trust the power, everyone were lying, there was propaganda, people were just not really attracted to being a part of society. I mean they were, because you could get benefits from the party, but of course like that wasn't an amazing system. And then in 1989, when we regained independence again, transformation happened, and that was like such a tricky times in the history when it comes to politics, because there were so many scandals. There was big debate about our constitution, about how to deal with communists, how to deal with all of the traumas, how to deal with people who used to work for party, and are high up. So because of that, because of a lot of just mismanagement, bad leaders, scandals, different governments, it definitely didn't attract people to politics. We had a horrible, how to say it, like not a lot of people were voting. We don't have a strong participatory society. People are not really willing to take initiative to change. There's not so many communities that are active. I'm hopeful to see that, that it's changing. Definitely there's more of that. Like we are maturing as democracy. And definitely also being a part of European Union has a gigantic influence for it. But definitely that is something that had a big impact for how we are today.
Poland is considered by many to be a successful post-communist state. Since 2004, Poland, that is a parliamentary republic, has been a member of the European Union, and since 2007 it has joined the Schengen area. Poland currently keeps a local currency, the Polish zloty. A sound macroeconomic framework, effective absorption of the European Union investment funds, a sound financial sector and access to the European labour markets have supported long-term inclusive growth and poverty reduction. Since the end of the communism, Poland has retained an advanced public welfare system. This includes universal free public healthcare and education. As a result, Poles are among the most educated people in Europe. 90% of them complete secondary school, and 50% have a degree. In 2021, Poland was the 19th country in the European Union in terms of GDP per capita and PBC, the main indicator of a country's wealth. Poland's well-diversified economy has proven to be one of the most resilient economies in the European Union, recovering strongly in 2021 after the COVID crisis. For the year 2021, Poland had a public debt of 53.8% of GDP, compared to a European Union average of 87.9%. Moreover, in 2021, Poland was the fifth country in the European Union with the lowest deficit. In 2021, the unemployment rate in Poland was 3.4% of the active population. The relations between the European Union and Poland have been conflictual for several years. Since 2017, the European Commission expressed concern about the independence of the judiciary. The institution has the same concern about media pluralism and freedom. Brussels has conditioned the obtaining of European funds to a better respect of European values. Because of this conflicting relationship, I wanted to know the opinion of our interviewees regarding the European Union.
Yes, I am in favor of European Union.
Yes, I am very much in favor of European Union.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the European Union.
I am in favor of European Union because I think it brings us a lot of great opportunities and a lot of opportunities to try being in different countries and see other cultures and just travel and meet people from all over the place. I also think the European Union really helps Poland develop economically because we do get a lot of funds, and when you walk around the cities in different cities, you can see the signs of funded by the European Union. It's often great stuff that wouldn't have been there otherwise, and I think it's a great way to develop, especially as I said, because we've been a democratic free country technically since '89, so I think it's a great help and it pushes us to be better.
I'm from a very small town, and especially after we joined the European Union, I can see a lot of things change it. When I'm walking through the streets, I can see that a lot of the hospitals or a lot of the schools are basically funded by the European Union grants. I can see also how European Union make it easy to immigrate to the other countries or get an education abroad. I'm personally studying abroad, and I do believe that without the European Union it would be not possible. People are not the government, and government is not necessarily always the people. So a lot of the things that are currently happening with the Hungary and Poland as a bad students should be questioned, and I do believe the European Union should even more affect our policies to make sure that freedom of speech and general freedom of the citizen is still safe. But not in the way of the sanction, just in the way of the education, because any country cannot take a lesson if they're not going to be taken any lecture of it. And I think that's the biggest problem of the Poland, that there is no really dialogue. Instead, there is just a sanctions and lack of the dispute. Also, that kind of discrimination, which is saying that, oh, Polish people and Hungarian people are bad students, but no one actually considered that our people are all the time constantly protesting, and we are trying all of our best to improve the countries.
I think that that's one of the biggest accomplishments in international politics. It's all about solidarity, integration, about growth together, but this fellowship in growth. So I love the foundation of it, and it is incredible what it provides. And I feel that maybe the feeling kind of diminished in few last years, because in many ways we forgot that we get used to it, right? We used to being in the European Union. We know that European Union exists, so we complain. And of course, European Union as a body of power should work constantly to improve, right? To evolve with times. But still, I think that my country, especially, would not be in the place of prosperity as it is right now without being a member of European Union. So I'm very grateful for it. On the other hand, in Poland, we are very pro-European. Even though maybe in politics and our PR, it's not visible in how my government handled politics. But when it comes to society, I think over 90% of Polacks wants to be in the European Union and appreciate it. So yeah, I think that at the end of the day, we understand what it brings, and we are grateful as a nation. So yes, so I am in favor of European Union.